Big up, guys. Big up, guys. Welcome to the stream. Obviously, match preview for the game tomorrow. Carabao Cup second round. Bournemouth versus the Bees. Big game. Hopefully, we can get through. You know, looking to try and win. Well, try and do well in the cup, Carabao Cup. Maybe win it. We have been close to getting there. Well, to the finals. You know. Those at the semis against, obviously lost to Arsenal, and also last season we lost in the quarter-final to the eventual winners, Newcastle. So maybe it's due. Hopefully we can try and win something. I mean, it's just going to be a tough one against Bournemouth. It really is. I mean, you know, as much as I don't like what they've said about us at times this season, starting that, you know, we're going to be relegated, things like that. I know there's no love lost. They don't like us, and I suppose in a way we don't like them. But I don't know, really. It's because we seem to keep beating them. We seem to be their bogey team. And, you know, I don't know. But anyway, apologies also for the delay. Still another bit more issue with the Wi-Fi. Apparently they tried sorting it out and it's supposed to be nearly fixed. So hopefully we'll be back to normal very soon and a lot better than it is still. And I can get onto these streams a bit earlier or whatever. So anyway, got David Hutchinson in here. We've got a hard game tonight. Yeah, be up to you, Newcastle. Yeah, speaking of Newcastle. You know, you're defending your title. You know, Carabao Cup winners, of course. You know, defending it. That's not tonight, of course. What am I talking about? It's Premier tonight, isn't it? Against Liverpool. But where you will be, well, you'll be in the third round, I suppose, wouldn't you? Yeah, probably in the third round, Newcastle, of course, yeah. Yeah, but you got Liverpool. Yeah, that's going to be a bit spicy, to be honest, tonight, the Premier. Yeah, I think it'd be very spicy. But, yeah, I was going to say the exact derby there. Well, it could be. Well, no, he hasn't gone there yet. Liverpool won't, well, anywhere yet, has he? So, who knows? But I'm just going to quickly get into this and read this article, then I'm going to bring my guest on. Also got a little bit of transfer talk I've got to talk about today, that obviously Brentford are actually after a new goalie, another goalkeeper. But I'll mention that a bit later on, go into that. Just going to bring this up and get into it. Yeah. And Brentford team news ahead of Bournemouth Carabao Cup clash, which is obviously tomorrow. Brentford head coach Keith Andrews has provided an update on the availability of the B squad ahead of Tuesday night's Carabao Cup round 2 clash against Bournemouth at Vitality Stadium. 7:45 kickoff. Dango Ouattara is set to feature against his former side, while Johan Visser will not be involved, which is no surprise, really. Andrews, the cup game will give an opportunity for other players, but equally, he wants to take it very, very seriously. So he's going to play a few other players by the looks of it. We don't know exactly who yet. There's nothing exactly saying who else will play. The West Londoners have no fresh injury concerns going into the midweek trip to Vitality Stadium. Andrews also confirmed that Johan Visser will not be involved in Dorset. The cup game will give an opportunity for other players, but equally, we want to take it very, very seriously, said the Bees head coach. For me, it's good timing for some of those players that may have been a bit frustrated not to have played. Some of those will get opportunities. We'll be strong. We're taking a squad down there which will be as strong and competitive as possible to try and win the game, and Dango Ouattara will be involved. We have to take care of a couple who came off on Saturday for more of a precautionary thing as they build fitness. A couple had slightly disrupted pre-seasons, but overall the squad is in a good place and looking really healthy. The focus is on the group, so Johan won't be involved again. Again, that's a decision around what I feel is best for the group. On taking on Andoni Iraola's Cherries, who defeated Wolves 1-0 on Saturday to claim their first win of the top flight campaign, Andrews added, it's a great game for us. It's a team I have a lot of admiration for, and it'll be a real test for us with the way they play the game. They're full of speed, energy, they're high octane. You can see that from the game against Liverpool. You can see the problems they cause for a team of the calibre of Liverpool, so we've got to be prepared for that and the intensity that with which they'll play the game. We'll match that and hopefully cause them some problems. Just go to this, see what this says. Alex Smith, Bournemouth at Daily Echo, cup run a priority for Cherries. Putting together a cup run is amongst Andoni Iraola's highest priorities this season, explains Alex Smith, senior sports journalist at the Bournemouth Daily Echo. Brentford face the Cherries in round 2 of the Carabao Cup on Tuesday evening at Vitality Stadium. Smith says Iraola always tries to go for the cups, so I do not think that will change this season. Putting together a cup run is amongst Andoni Iraola's highest priorities this season, explains Alex Smith, senior sports journalist at the Bournemouth Daily Echo. Bournemouth opened the new Premier League season with a trip to Liverpool on 15th of August. What did you take from their first competitive outing of 25-26? It was a good performance from Bournemouth, actually, though the scoreline perhaps did not really reflect the game itself. The Cherries put in an encouraging performance, particularly after weathering an early storm and going 2 goals down. To get level at 2-2 showed great character, and for it to still be 2-2 after 87 minutes was brilliant. So it was a bit gutting to lose it late on. It was a good showing all in all, and there were a lot of positives in defeat. Looking ahead to the rest of the season, what have you made of their business, and what do you think they need to do any more? They need to get to do some more, but overall they've done pretty well, and so far they've replaced all but one of the outgoings. They lost the 2 centre-backs who were pretty much the mainstays of the back line for most of last season. Dean Huyson went to Real Madrid, and Ilya Zabani went to PSG. But they have only brought in 1 centre-back in Bafodi Diakate, so they will need to get in another. That is quite a clear priority. But they have replaced Milos Kerkez at left-back with Adrian Truffert. He looks a very good signing, certainly at Anfield. He looked bright down the left-hand side. And in goal, Kepa Arrizabalaga went back to Chelsea after his loan spell, and of course he's now at Arsenal. Then signed for Arsenal, yeah. They have replaced him well with Georgi Petrovic. I think another Chelsea goalie? Yeah, I believe so. Against Liverpool, there was not too much he could have done about any of the 4 goals. As a keeper, he probably was not pleased with conceding 4 goals, but I do not think there was too much he could have done. He certainly looks like a handy keeper, and he's only 25 as well, which in goalkeeper terms is quite young. In terms of forward replacements, a couple of wingers will be needed. They have signed both Bengan and Doak, from Liverpool. We were after at one stage, looking at. And Amin Adli from Bayer Leverkusen. An underrated thing they have done is move on squad players. Neto has gone. Mark Travers has gone. Jane Nancy has gone. Well, of course, he was at Burnley and scored, of course, as we know. They won 2-0 against Sunderland. Joe Rothwell has gone. All players who were on loan last season have come back, then been moved on quite well. They managed to get a bit of money from all of them too. And the key thing is they are after the wage bill. The Cherries have made the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup in 3 of the last 11 seasons. How high on the list of priorities is a good cup run for Andoni Iraola? A cup run is always fairly high on his priorities, certainly last season. He didn't play a particularly weakened team in any of the cup games that the Cherries played, even against West Brom in the FA Cup. That might have been a bit of an opportunity to rest players, but he rested one or two and still started with the first choice core of the team. Iriola always tries to go for the cups, so I do not think that will change this season, and he'll be looking at a cup run. There will be a bit of frustration from last season in the Carabao Cup after he felt aggrieved to be knocked out in the second round to West Ham. That was a pretty close game that was settled by a goal that, had there been VAR, would have been ruled out after a Jared Bowen handball. I think there will perhaps be a bit of keenness to right that wrong. Which player should Brentford be keeping an eye out for on Tuesday? If Antoine Semenyo continues his form from the opening night, he's going to be a massive threat this season for the Cherries. Yeah, great player. It's really terrible, sad what happened to him with that racism. Terrible. That was absolutely disgusting against Liverpool. It was really bad. There's no room for it in football or any walk of life at all. So he a massive threat season for the Cherries, so he's the obvious one to look out for, as is Trufer, who put in some good crosses against Liverpool. David Brooks was also very good in pre-season, another quality player, rating. David Brooks, really good player. Pre-season and against Liverpool, so he will be looking to threaten. What should Keith Andrews' men expect in terms of shape and style? Andoni Iraola's style is pretty set. It is a 4-2-3-1, which I believe we're playing the Bees at the moment as well. So will we match that? I don't know. Usually with quite a high press. He looks to win the ball high up the pitch and hit teams on the transition and the counter-attack if they can. They scored their 2 goals against Liverpool from the counter, so that will be what they try and do. They try and play with a lot of energy, maybe slightly different to what it was at Anfield. So there are a couple of injuries in midfield, so it is not really the first choice for those 2 holding midfielders, with Tyler Adams playing the anchor role and then Alex Scott and Marcus Tavernier dovetailing off that and playing a bit more flexibly in midfield. But it will be similar to what he does usually. There will be a lot of energy, a high press and hopefully lots of goals. Brentford's recent record in this fixture is good, with 8 wins from the last 11. What's your score prediction? It is at home, so I think they will get it done. They'll be hoping to get one over Brentford after the 2 results last season too. So I'm going for a 3-1 to Bournemouth. Well, I'm hoping not with that, but I don't know. You never know, because I don't know. We got that win the other day in the Premier, but this is a whole different kettle of fish. It really, it's a cup competition. Are we going to take it? Andrew says we're taking it seriously, so maybe we are. David Hutchinson again. Do you think we'll get your player Johan Visser? Well, that's carrying on, isn't it? I mean, it's possible. It will probably happen eventually. It could well happen on the last day of the window. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm sure it happened eventually. We're still holding out for that 50 mil, I think, 60 mil. So we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to bring my guest on, and that's, of course, Manny. Hold on, just one more comment here. Ethan Burney, Bournemouth fan, here looking forward to the game. Oh, right. Oh, nice one. Thanks for coming in, Ethan. I know there's sometimes I'm not really getting on too well with Bournemouth at the moment, especially with their comments and certain things, with what they're saying. But I always try and respect you. I always respect your fans and whatever else. So I will try and do that, even though wasn't happy with things. But obviously, we'll move on, and I will bring my guest on. And could it be possibly the Bees will sting the cherry pickers to stop them picking any more cherries against us? Manny, big up to you, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Jenkins. And I'll tell you what, this is going to be a really exciting clash because, both teams I think quite a few different pundits have had both you and the Bees for some reason. The Cherries for some reason down to be relegated because, with the loss of certain players, maybe they in their opinion it would have affected the balance of the team. Obviously, as you've mentioned in one of the articles, losing Huijsen, Kerkers, and Zabani would normally be a big blow, but they have signed, of course, Diakite, who comes with European pedigree, having played for Lille in the Conference League, and I believe he was a big part of their Champions League campaign last season as well, if memory serves me right. And you've also lost quite a few players, but have strengthened quite a bit. So obviously, I know there have been a lot of things that have been said, some regrettable, more regrettable than others. But more than anything, I just think this is a chance for two teams to, just lay down a marker. And I think both teams are looking for, really good cup runs to try and strengthen their team's season. And I think that article has pretty much made it clear that that's a priority. And what's not to love about the cups, especially the League Cup? I mean, we did win. My Arsenal did win the FA Cup in 2020, but did sweet bugger all afterwards. And of course, we haven't tasted success in the League Cup since 1993, when George Graham led us to a brilliant domestic cup double, and followed that up with our biggest European triumph, although sadly, like the Fairs Cup, that's now defunct, but that's another story. So this is going to be a wonderful opportunity for these two teams to impress and really get a few admirers, so to speak. And, I'm just taking a look, obviously, at the Bournemouth team. The thing about them is that, obviously, when you take a look at the lineups that they've played in both of their games, obviously their first team, there were no changes. There was a back four of club captain Adam Smith. No, not the economist Adam Smith. This is a different one, clearly. And, Diakite, the new signing, Trafford, and another new signing were in the back four, in the centre of the defence and at left back, respectively. Marcos Senesi is a bit of an issue. Now, this chap was playing a few of Bournemouth's pre-season games and looked a little bit of a liability with his pretty poor positional sense at times. And that is, of course, something that a large number of Bournemouth fans, including some good friends of mine who, out of respect for you, I will not name, have said is a bit of a concern more than anything else. Obviously, Petrovic in goal is quite key. And normally what they do is that they have a 4-1-4-1 formation with the USA's Tyler Adams, who was their World Cup captain in Qatar, playing the role of sort of the defensive midfield sweeper, as it were. Normally, it would be Alex Scott, the number 8, who'd be paired up with him as a double pivot. But since opting to go for a 4-1-4-1, which, we've seen Manchester City use quite frequently, not that I'm saying that Areola is trying to copy Guardiola in any way, but far from it, but that's another story. Yeah. What they're going to try and do with that sort of four-man attacking midfield line behind Evan Nilsson as their lone striker is put a little bit more pressure on the back four. So obviously with Wolves, although they did play a 3-4-3 with Kiana Hova and Mola Wolfers wing-backs, I think it's fair to say that Doherty, Agbadou and Toti Gomez were a little bit overwhelmed. And the club captain, in fact, Gomez, was given his marching orders. So you can see how that tactic works. Now, given that it's a League Cup campaign, I think it is fair to say that there will be some changes. Some players will obviously be rested. In terms of who might be playing in goal, it could very well be that they may want to try their youngster Will Dennis, who has replaced Mark Travers as the backup goalkeeper, with Travers having moved to join Jordan Pickford and David Moyes at Everton. Or it could very well be the number 13, Alex Paulson, a New Zealander who's joined. And obviously, as you've mentioned, Norberto Neto has gone back to Brazil to join Botafogo. And Kepa, of course, who was their starting keeper, on loan with the Cherries, has now joined us as our backup keeper. But
Yeah.
I do believe that Bournemouth have actually recruited very well, and you've also made some decent purchases. And it will be, of course, very interesting to see how well the two of you do. So if we take a look at Bournemouth's squad, for instance, aside from all the aside from the first team, as I've just mentioned, they do have some good squad options. If we take a look at, so obviously there's a right back named Araujo, who's a Mexican international. He hasn't started any games so far, with Adam Smith being preferred. Although if Smith were to be dropped for Araujo, I think Lewis Cook might end up taking the captaincy. But Cook, for some reason, hardly ever plays these days, and maybe he might be dealing with an injury. I'm not too sure. Yeah, he hasn't even been named in the squad, so it's normally you would think that Lewis Cook would have a role to play, but he may come back into the team later. So it could very well be that Araujo might get to play. If Lewis Cook is fit, he will possibly play and add a little bit of experience.
Yeah. Billings going, by the way, Manny. Billings is being sold to Michelin. He's going there, Philip Billing.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise, really, because, I mean, he did spend part of last season at Napoli on loan, and it could very well be that maybe he feels as though he's done his time at Bournemouth, and so maybe a new challenge might be what he needs. And but obviously, with Evan Nilsson having come in and done well, maybe Billing just doesn't have much of a future under Iraola. And more's the same, because whenever he's been on form, he's been a fine player indeed. But obviously, as with all coaches, all teams, the managers are always going to try to, refresh the squad, add some new options, and maybe he feels as though his, he did move, in fact, to Napoli with an option to buy, but obviously the Italians opted not to take up the option, and of course they've got their two Scots, Billy Gilmer and Scott McTominay there. I think maybe they just didn't think that Billing would have much of a future. And of course, as you mentioned, they've signed Doak. He wasn't obviously, he wasn't in any of the squads when either when they came to Doak's former club at Anfield, or when they hosted the Wolves. But he should definitely feature. And there are, if you take a look at the squad and the players that have been maintained, in theory, this does still look a good squad. Apart from the defensive departures, they've maintained actually the strong attacking midfield core that enabled them to earn that as much success as they did. So they still have a lot to offer, and I think there are several players who will obviously, look to try and do very well, and they will look to the cup match against the Bees as a means of trying to get themselves back into the first team picture. And this is another reason why, you end up making sure that you have big squads, and why, these League Cup games are good games. They offer opportunities for players out of the first team picture to try to come back in. They also have a new Moroccan midfielder by the name of Amin Adili, who's joined them quite recently. As I mentioned, Diakite joined, but he might be rested. Julio Soler, you might want to take a look at him, a youth international for Argentina, despite being born in Paraguay. Justin Kluivert is also definitely another option. I don't think, Kluivert has been brought off the bench, and he might end up getting a start. Ryan Christie, of course, was also brought off the bench, and Adili also came off the bench. They do have some options, especially with some players coming back, and I think it could very well be that they will definitely relish the challenge. But as far as Brentford are concerned, I think also this is going to be a chance for you to give some fringe players a chance. I think Valdemarson will definitely be starting. So you did mention that you were looking for a new goalkeeper. I think it's fair to say that it's a bit too late for him to be involved in this game, eh?
Well, yeah, definitely. I don't know why they seem to be looking for. I know they obviously want somebody for competition for Kelleher, but I thought Valdemarson was good enough. I really did. I mean, he's Icelandic international, number one. I mean, I thought he was pretty decent. So I don't know why we seem to be going after someone else, but I don't know. It's strange, Manny. But there we go. We might obviously we are looking at other players. We should still be looking at replacement for Visser when he does leave. I'm sure he will. It's not far away from happening, probably. So we're going to need others coming in. So, but as our team is concerned, I think a lot of these. Well, this is a concern for us if Nathan Collins goes, because there's still links. I'm still seeing links with it all. There's still articles that are coming out saying he's linked with Liverpool. He's linked with Spurs. This and that. So I'm really hoping it's not actually true, though. I'm hoping it's all paper talk and it's all just rumours. Because the thing is, we made him captain and we've also got him on a new contract. So why would we be letting him go realistically there, Manny? Why would we let him go right now? Why would it happen?
Well, I mean, your guess would be as good as mine on this issue, to be honest with you. And yeah, I agree that you wouldn't want to let a player go whom you had just made captain. But of course, it didn't stop us from trying to approach our rivals to get a certain Salzir Jeremiah Campbell, who was, of course, club captain at Spurs, and we ended up getting him. Yeah. Of course, that was before the start of the season, so I guess you can't really, to use that as an example per se. But look, Collins is a quality defender.
You got Norgard, who was our captain, wasn't he? Norgard as well. So
yeah, you could possibly say that you could say that it's maybe a sign that player loyalty and player and captaincies may not mean very much anymore. But I think more than anything else, people are always going to be on the lookout for some good quality defenders, and Collins is going to be no different. He's an international for Ireland, his country's captain, of course, whenever Seamus Coleman isn't able to play, which is a lot more frequently, sadly, these days for his liking. So it's only natural that some teams will want to, sniff around for him. And it's, I don't know if you should, I'm not saying that you should necessarily consider that a source of pride per se, because, you don't want to lose your club captain. I completely agree with you. But having said all of that, that's just the way it is, mate. People are going to, sniff around for really good players. Will try and use whatever tactics they can. And sometimes those distractions and things, they do mess with a player's head. Maybe, hopefully for your sake, Nathan's keeping his head up firmly on the ground. He's not bothered by any of this stuff. And he will end up staying and playing a big role. But I don't know if you should necessarily worry as of yet. The only time you probably should be worried is if, you do get some very bad injuries. And so you can't really, nobody can really predict the future when it comes to player fitness and what have you. Injuries can happen at any time, as we all know. But, I think that's just the way it is more than anything else. But I don't really think you should worry about Collins leaving. I think if you give him the captaincy, one thing I can say about, I might be able to say, is that, Collins is nothing if not a very loyal player. And I really don't think that there should be much to worry about with regard to him. But again, I can't predict the future either. So we'll just see what happens.
Well, yeah. But for the time being, he's here. I would think he will play this. I would say he'd be the captain for this and play. I can't see him not coming into this. I know, because obviously I want to play as strong as we can, as strong a team as we can. So I would think he will be there. Although, of course, we've got to try and rest some for Saturday. because Sunderland is going to be an important one on Saturday, in the Premier.
Ah, yes, Granit Xhaka coming over to the G-Tech. Should be a hoot and a half.
Yeah, the Albanian Titanic. Yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I really like this guy, Michael Chiodi. I think he's quality. I mean, he had a tough time in the first game against Forest. He run ragged a bit. I don't know why that was, but he come back. He was superb the other day on Saturday. He was amazing, in our defence. But I think our defence was amazing altogether, overall. I mean, yeah, you can say Villa were lacklustre. You can say that. You can say they weren't at their best. But you have to give us credit as well, and you got to beat what's in front of you, and we did that. So,
absolutely, I give you all the credit you deserve there, because, like, you obviously know that I have a huge soft spot for Villa with the Arsenal connections and Unai Emery, Emi Martinez, and of course, let's not forget Daniel Marlon was a former Arsenal youth player, a former teammate of the likes of Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson before moving back to Holland, making a name for himself, I think at PSV, then Borussia Dortmund, and now, of course, with the Villa. So, you could say that they're one of my other teams. I'd say Aston Villa my second team and Bournemouth are my third, given the affiliation, so to speak. But I'm also not afraid to say that Villa just weren't at the races, and they're going through a lot right now, but that doesn't take away in any way any merit from how you lot performed that day. And you, again, you lot were amazing. You did exceptionally well. You didn't really give them any kind of an edge, and they just weren't able to profit that much. And now they've got some work to do to try to get some of that, some form back, the same form that has seen them qualify for Europe in 3 consecutive seasons. But, that win over Villa will give you boys a lot of confidence for this League Cup game.
You see here, Manny, look at all the goalies we've actually got here. We've got Ellery Balcom. He's another good young keeper. I don't know why we're looking for another one. We got some here. Look, we got Matthew Cox. We got Julian Eyestone. Valdemarson, of course. I don't understand why we're looking for another one. I really don't, mate. But yeah, well, I'm sure Valdemarson will play, I would say, or Balcom. I don't know.
I think it could be, Steve, that a lot of these goalkeepers are youth keepers who probably will end up getting loaned later on in the season. I do get your point saying that, you've got a few too many. But, sometimes managers have their reasons. And I think, Andrews being the sort of coach he might be, he has his reasons. So, I'm not prepared to cast any kind of judgment on them or any aspersions. But, maybe there's a reason. It could very well be that Valdemarson gets to play. We're going to see, though, if you do get a new goalkeeper. And it will be interesting to see who you end up getting. But I would agree with you, at least in theory, that it is at least one too many at the moment.
Yeah. It seems to be it's almost like Chelsea, isn't it? Have all those goldies but then again, I'm not sure. I mean, some of these will maybe not up to it. I don't know. I mean, I still think this guy should be. He's number one for Iceland. Surely he should be the number 2, and he should be the one in competition for Kelleher. Really, but obviously, I don't know. They obviously think differently. They don't think maybe he's quite there yet. I don't know. I'm not sure really what it is with it. But I think he'll get the game. I would say he'll get a hit in the head of Kelleher, be rested for Saturday, I would say. And, he'll be there. I think maybe Henry and Hickey will possibly start, Manny.
That would be good. That would be good. I mean, they both had injury-induced absences, right? So obviously, you've got to get them back up to speed. And, again, this is why it's wonderful to have a League Cup, especially if you're not playing in Europe. And I'm not referring to you. I'm referring to Manchester United,
Yeah.
Mbomo's club. Why he joined that circus, I will never know.
Yeah.
Forgive me for sounding a bit cruel, mate, but let it never be said that humor is dead, because there's so little else occupying my head. All right, that's enough.
Ruby. Sorry, you got started now. When you do that, man, I have to start singing. I've already got Ratara songs. I've already got a few of them singing at the moment. The new Ratara ones as he's joined us. So, and scored the other day, of course, on the debut. So superb. Yeah, be up to you, Jordan. Thanks for coming in. Thanks, mate. Playing tonight against, of course, Newcastle. Important, tricky one, wasn't it? It's a big, spicy game, that one tonight in the Premier. What's going on there, especially with Isaac and whatever? Well, I wonder if that's ever going to come to a halt, to an end. That saga, who knows? But obviously, getting back to this, I think it'd be great if Henry plays and Hickey as well. I really do. Give him some minutes, get him some game time, and I think it'd be strong as well for this game. It'd be tougher for Bournemouth to break through with those two playing. And he's actually back in the Scottish squad as well, Aaron Hickey, I see.
Yeah, I do believe Ben Doak has also made the squad. It's Steve Clarke's first World Cup squad. Other notable inclusions, Andrew Robertson, Johnny McGinn, Kieran Tierney. Sadly, no Craig Gordon, still recovering from a shoulder injury. But I think, once Angus Gunn makes another mistake, there'll be a huge clamour to bring the 42-year-old back off his Zimmer frame and back into the squad. But yeah, so obviously, things are looking up for Hickey, and I'm really happy that he's trying to get back into the swing of things, and we'll see how well he does, obviously.
I think one of these two will be there as well. I think they might just give maybe Vandenberg a rest. I think maybe Pinnock will play. He ain't played yet this season. He's just come back from injury, I believe, another injury. So he may get a run out here, I think. So yeah, it'll be a fairly strong defence, I think we'll have. The midfield, well, I'm sure Malambo will play. I'm sure he'll get a run out here. Very good player. Maybe Onyeka, he might get a game. Carvalho, yet to impress though. Carvalho, don't know with him.
Yeah, I think Malambo, obviously, who was a big part of the Dutch youth team in the Euros. I think he could prove to be a really good buy for you, and I'd like to see him also eventually make a Premiership appearance. I think he will give plenty of teams a lot of problems.
Played against Forest, Manny. Played against them.
Oh, he did. Very nice.
Yeah.
Sorry for being a little bit slow there. My bad.
No, that's all right, mate. But yeah, he played. He played against them. Didn't do it that great, but he's got time. He's got, he's young. He's obviously got to get used to the Premier, whole new league. So I'm sure he'll be good enough. He looked great in the under 21s and stuff, Holland, and where he was before as well. He's really good. So I think he's got time, and I think he'll be a really great player eventually. I think he'll be really amazing for us. So looking forward to that. And obviously Onyeka, we've got to see if he might do something. I'm not sure. Yarmouth will maybe still play again. I don't know. He's doing well at the moment. He's doing okay. So might as well. And this guy, well, totally awesome. He's been amazing yet again. Mikael Damsgaard. Finally the guy we signed from Sampdoria has turned up at last.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, another Bournemouth fan, Liam. Who's that? Liam Humby.
Yep.
They're all turning up now, man. The Bournemouth fans, crikey. Yeah. When we going to play them? But yeah, I thought he was superb, Damsgaard. He was actually. I gave him man of the match, game of 10 the other day. That game on Saturday. Who knew? He was an amazing player. Of course, we know he scored against England. We all remember that, don't we? For Denmark, that free kick. And then he kind of went off the radar a bit, didn't he? Kind of, went out of it. Bit injuries, I think, and stuff like that didn't help him. But now we're seeing, the class he's got, the ability he's got, and can we keep hold of this guy? That's going to be tough, isn't it? Keeping hold of him, really, as well. By the looks of it, he keeps doing what he's doing,
Yeah, it could very well be, Steve, that a few big clubs might also end up sniffing around trying to see if they can't get a hold of him, and that's the way it normally is. If there are some class players playing for, some teams that may not necessarily be on the radar, as it were, obviously the bigger teams are going to look for them, and don't be surprised if moves are made for the likes of Justin Kluivert and a few others. And so I really do believe that this is going to be a pretty good game. And sadly, obviously, given my situation, I have no opportunity to watch it because League Cup games are not very popular among Indian audiences. There is, of course, a channel called Fan Code where you can try and get it, but that costs me money. I'm afraid I don't have. And as Mick Hucknall famously said, money's a little bit too tight to mention. But this is why we you enjoy the League Cup, and again, it just sort of segues back to the debate we had on this channel not too long ago as to whether or not the League Cup and by extension the FA Cup should be taken seriously. Of course, they should be taken seriously, and obviously for teams like Bournemouth and Brentford, these games are gold dust. Goes without saying.
Yeah. I don't think this guy will be playing. He won't be involved in the squad, and I'm not surprised. He wants him at the moment. We don't. Obviously, Newcastle still do. He's an absolute troublemaker at the moment, Manny, and I just wish he'd go. To be honest, I've had enough of him.
He's not the type that Ollie Murs famously sang about either.
Yeah. No, but he's really giving us some shit at the moment, and
hopefully not a heart attack, mate.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Ollie Murs. He seems to have disappeared, hasn't he? Really, from what he was doing. But anyway, getting back to this, are you coming to the game tomorrow night? No, sorry, mate, I'm not. No, I've been to Bournemouth a lot of times, but I'm afraid not coming to the game. Used to go to that stadium a bit when I was down there on holiday and things like that. I used to go there a lot. It's the Bournemouth Stadium. It used to be Dean Court. I think it is still Dean Court, isn't it?
It is still Dean Court.
Yeah.
They obviously renamed it the Vitality Stadium for sponsorship purposes, but it is still called Dean Court, and there have been, of course, plans to relocate to a bigger stadium in the near future. That is, of course, something that will be, dealt with, a bridge that will be crossed when they arrive, so to speak.
Yeah, but it's just a shame about this guy, Manny, and what he's done now. It's embarrassing for us. It's giving us a bad look at the club. It's a grey cloud over the horizon that's stopped us. Well, you would think it stopped us concentrating on what we should be doing, although it hasn't in a way, because we're still getting on with it, and we're still getting on with trying to win matches and playing, obviously playing in the Premier and now in the Carabao Cup. So we've got to think about all that and forget about what this bloke's getting up to and what he's doing, and because it's totally disrespectful. And what we've done for him, we put faith in him. We gave him a club to go to. We gave him somewhere, a community to play for, and he's giving us a load of shit in return, and it's not good. You know, it's almost a Tony situation all over again, you know. Disrespectful. And it's really, I don't get it. You know, why are you disrespecting the club like this? It's giving you a chance, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, all I can say is that it would have been one thing if, you know, Visser was having some issues with the club regarding not being given first team football and being made to rot to death on the bench. But that's clearly not the case. He's, you know, been a leading player for a long time. He's obviously won admirers for the way he played. And he, along with Mbomo and Kevin Schade, he was, of course, literally, you know, one of the reasons why Bournemouth actually did as well as they did. The goals that you lot were scoring. And I remember that brilliant segment when Jermaine Defoe came to the G-Tech to observe training, and he saw everything. And, you know, for Visser to suddenly just do this, especially when he's been the main man for so long, I'm sorry, but I agree with you. It does leave a bad taste in the mouth. I mean, I could completely understand it if players, as I've said, are bitter and angry about not getting first-team football and seeing their careers being, you know, affected in a way. But, you know, this type of stuff, what we're seeing now, is just beyond the pale, and it cannot be excused. It cannot be tolerated, so to speak.
No, but I mean, the thing is, we're kind of holding out now for, it looks like we're going to hold out for the 50 mil, Manny. So that's what it looks like we're going to try and do. And we could extend his contract for another season, for another year. But that wouldn't make any sense, would it? He could go for nothing as well. We don't want him going for nothing next season.
And that probably explains why, you know, you might want him to sign a new deal so that he doesn't go for nothing. But again, you know, sometimes the player may feel as though he's being treated like a piece of meat in that regard. And, you know, maybe in some cases, certain players feel as though they should be allowed to wind down their contracts so that they can walk away for free. And that's where, you know, in many cases, the Bosman ruling hasn't exactly been helpful in many ways.
No, it hasn't. But yeah, I want to move on from that and talk about this guy, this man. He was fantastic, and as I say, got a song about him, Manny. I'm gonna do it now, mate. I can't, you know, hold back. I've got to sing this song. When the samba rhythm starts to play, dance with me, make me sway. Dango Watara running down the wing, scoring goals, makes the Brentford sing. What do you think, Manny? Do you like it or what?
Well, I mean, I like the chant. I mean, I can't say I'm a fan of the song, to be brutally honest with you, but that was very, 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 very smart.
I'm a shit singer,
you know,
sorry. Murdered it.
No,
anyway.
I'm not. I would never criticize your singing. You know that. Oh, I'm not exactly, you know, Jose Carreras myself, as we all know.
No, but I mean, you know, what a talent we bought. I always liked him at Bournemouth, to be honest. I always thought he looked really good, a really good player. And, you know, he's got the pace, he's got the ability. And, you know, he came in, I believe, when a lot of their forwards were injured. Or one of their main forwards were injured, and he scored a lot of goals then, didn't he? Was it 11 goals or something? He came in and scored, I believe.
Yeah.
Was it last season or something? Or was it the season before? Not last season, of course, the season before, I think. And I know he came in and made a big impact, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And obviously, you know, Bournemouth rather valued him very highly. He was definitely a fan favourite over at Dean Court. And, you know, they obviously would have been very sad to have seen him leave. And I think, you know, our friends in the chat will also agree just how good he was and how they miss him a great deal. But, you know, this is football. It moves on and, you know, new players come in, new heroes come in. It is what it is. And obviously, you know, I think our friends will have a lot to say about the impending departure of Phil Bill, as he was very affectionately called.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
That's sort of the way it is. I think he will obviously. I mean, Otara will probably obviously have a few points to prove, but in addition, he will definitely want to do well for his new team, and I think Bournemouth are also going to want to show him that maybe he shouldn't have been so hasty. He shouldn't have left Dean Core. But it is what it is, and this subplot will definitely provide a great deal of intrigue to what should be an interesting game.
Yeah. I think there's more to come from this guy, Igor Thiago. Not quite at it yet, I don't think, after a whole season out for injury. But he did actually, he laid the chance on the goal on for Ratara, headed it on. So it was his, assist. So he's getting there, and he scored a penalty against Forest. So I think he will get better, won't he? Manny, do you think, Igor Thiago?
He should, and just like, Henry and Hickey, I think it's a case of players just coming back from injury and trying to re-establish themselves. And there is a lot of promise in that regard. The only issue is that you will need to exercise a little bit of patience, I would say. But, there is a lot to like about this whole thing. I think, when certain people made their opinions, it must be said that Brentford might be going down. I think they probably took the injury list into consideration. Maybe they considered a little bit too much, perhaps. But, now that once things start to smooth over and once they start to get back into the swing of things, it could very well be that these players in question will end up, having a big role to play in terms of how the club moves forward. So still exciting, still promising, if not necessarily exciting times. And there's there is some room for optimism, I will say.
Yeah, I think he's going to get better. I think Shardy will get a few again. He got 11 or something, I think, last season. His first time getting the double figures. He's got ability, mate, and he's quick. Another one with pace. So, we got some quick lightning players now. We got him and Watara. They're very quick. So, that'll always give defences trouble, wouldn't it? So, Romel Donovan, another one could get a game here, possibly. Give him a go as well. Gustavo Nunes out injured, so he won't play any part. Keen Lewis Potter, well, maybe he'll carry on. I'm sure we'll probably carry on with him, maybe, at left wing, though. I think if Henry plays, he'll play at left wing, I think. So, or left side in midfield. He was great, actually, at left back again, left wing back. He was superb the other day, Lewis Potter. So, I think he can play nearly anywhere, to be honest, Manny. So, it's a pretty good team. It is a good team. And we got no egos in the team. I don't think we've got an ego-driven team. We play for each other. We're strong. We're a unit, Okay, we looked all over the place against Forest. I don't know what happened there. It was tough. It was a bit of a baptism of fire playing them. But we got back into it at home, and I think this is the start. We could get something going now, rolling again, and it's Sunderland. That as well will be tough. They lost to Burnley. Who'd have thought that? Everyone thought Burnley were down and out, didn't they? Thought they're nothing special. Well,
yeah, but listen again. This just goes to show that in the Premiership, you can't really rush to judgments and say, I told you so after one particular game. I mean, with Burnley especially, there was always going to be a part of me that felt for the likes of Martin Dubravka when he should be a big part of Newcastle's Champions League campaign. Instead, he's sort of, mentally preparing himself for potentially a tough season with Burnley. But if he does prove to be an able replacement for James Trafford, who is not exactly having the best start to life at the Etihad, you could actually see some surprises. And I'm now starting to think that we could see one or two established teams really, really struggling this season. I mean, West Ham certainly look, dreadful at the moment. Is their bubble about to burst? I don't know. But, there's a lot of... there's a lot of I wouldn't say necessarily optimism, but there is going to be a lot of excitement around this campaign, and we're going to see how things obviously turn out. But again, now this means you can't predict anything, and I think this really makes me a little bit more excited. And I'm not too sure what Warren's talking about when he says scumbags.
It's all about Bournemouth, Manny, because obviously what they were saying about Brentford and whatever, because obviously, as we know, certain things were said. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trying to take it with a pinch of salt, because at the end of the day, a lot of people can say we're going to go down before the ball is kicked in anger. And yes, we got annihilated by Forest. You could say that we were 3-0 down in that after the first half, and it wasn't great. People could say, "Well, look, we're right. This is correct. What we're saying here." But then we showed what we're about when we came back. Back to the GTEC. We showed that we can get it back together, and be strong and defend well. And that was a bad game. That was a bad start. But we got back to it, didn't we? And we can against Sunderland as well. And, I know we've got Chelsea as well, so that's going to be a really tough game as well. I know that. But, I think we got the confidence now of at least a win, and 3 points on the board. That's what really matters, isn't it? And,
absolutely.
We can build on it, totally build on that. So... I'm not totally worried, but I just kind of think, well, people are saying we're down before anything's happened. We're doomed, and I think that's totally wrong. We're an established team now. It's our 5th season in the Premier. We're actually an established team. Okay, we've lost Frank, we lost Bramo, we've lost Norgard. We'll probably lose Visser. Hopefully, we won't fucking lose Collins, but at the end of the day, we still come back again. We still bring it back, don't we? We always come back. We get players in. We sort it out. And for people to say we're going to be useless and do nothing and go down, I hate all that. I've hated that. What I've heard, and it wasn't just Bournemouth as well. There was others saying it. So,
yeah. Well, listen. It's not for nothing that they say that sticks and stones can break your bones, but insults shouldn't hurt you. And if anything, it's just going to give you a lot more ammunition to prove the doubters wrong. And it could be worse. I think Warren will agree with me that having people wax lyrical over Arsenal saying, "Oh, this is our season, we're going to win the league." And there was a ridiculous article on the BBC Sport website, which was paying tribute to us in a way, saying we've shown how ruthless we are by, snatching Eze. Ridiculous. We've done nothing of the sort. The only reason why we ended up going for him was because that other big waste of money, that German giraffe, ended up getting cropped. If he hadn't have gotten cropped, who's to say that we would have? I don't think we would have gone for Eze. And yet we've got people, saying that we're going to this could be our year and we're going to do great things. But it irritates me all the more, Steve, because it means that when we do fail. People are just going to continue to take the mickey out of us. And that's what irritates me in many ways. And I think Warren will agree with me on that. But, we have to try. It puts a lot more pressure on us as well to, prove those people right. Not because I just don't know what it is, though. I just don't know what sort of hold Arteta and Arsenal have on the media. Not even Arsene Wenger was given this much in terms of, media treatment. And when things went bad for him, eventually he also ended up getting called out on it. So I guess it's sort of like a cycle per se. And maybe once people see Arteta for who he really is, people are going to, will finally see the light. But we're not talking about Arsenal. We're talking about Brentford. And I really do hope that you can maintain this start. And I hope you can also accept that, at the end of the day, their predictions. And I do believe, not really necessarily speaking for anyone in particular, I do believe that once some people are proved wrong, they will accept it. They'll cop it, as Ange Postecoglou famously said. And, they will, admit it. And speaking of the big Aussie, it could very well be that he might be succeeding Nuno at Forest.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I heard that, mate. Yeah. I mean, that'd be good. I mean, not for Nuno, obviously, but it's terrible what's happened with him there. He's done well getting them to into Europe and everything, getting them up there at Forest, and now that bloody idiot Greek guy wants to get rid of him. I think because of what's happening there, what's happening on going on there, and they don't seem to get on, do they? Don't seem to see eye to eye, them two blokes. So.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, though, it could be a match made in heaven. Two big, opinionated, almost headstrong Greeks working together, and obviously Marinakis and Postecoglou do share a bit of I wouldn't say necessarily a warm relationship, but they are on really good terms, and they do seem to, like each other a great deal. But maybe it could work, maybe it won't, and I think. After all of the kerfluffle with Spurs, Ange might want to prove a point and maybe win a few at Spurs' expense.
I mean, if Nuno does go, where do you think he would go if they do get rid of him? Do you think there's anywhere else he'd go in the Premier or any other
Probably
team?
not the Premiership. Probably not the Premiership. I mean, let's say, for example, the way things are going, if West Ham or Leeds lose their managers, it could very well be that Daniel might end up going over there. But, the Forest project might be appealing to Ange because, it's a team that is actually now in Europe, albeit not the Champions League. And he might want to really see Forest go even higher. Now, it should, of course, be mentioned that Forest didn't exactly win too many admirers with the whole Gibbs-White thing, but I think you got to put that down more to the manager than the club per se. And it's good to see Forest back, founder members of the Premier League and everything. And I'm sure you'll know just how good they can play about considering what happened when you went to the City ground. I had to bring that up, Steve. But even you can agree that, with the players they have and the foundation they have, this could potentially be a pretty good good season for them, and it would be a good fit for Ange. But back to
Drew Palace as well yesterday. So
and that was a game that I expected Forest to lose, given how brilliantly Glasner's done. But I think Forest proved me wrong. But I'm also really happy with what Andrews has done so far. And this game against Bournemouth could very well be a really good, shall we say, litmus test to see how well he could possibly do. And hopefully, for you, if you secure a win and get a cup run, it will be really, really good. And Bournemouth, though, you're going to have to watch out for them. They were FA Cup quarter-finalists last season, played some really great football. Very unlucky to have, lost to Manchester City. And they've also made it clear that they want a cup run too. So this will be an exciting game, and I'm sure you'll be looking forward to it, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. But I think looking at it, what's your predictions going to be? Because if they both teams change certain players around, they're going to bring newer players in. Could it disrupt it a bit? I mean, they've got to come in and hit the ground running, the players like Doak and so forth for Bournemouth, if they bring them in. And I think if we bring in sort of like our newer players, I mean, obviously we'll have Ouattara, who knows everything about Bournemouth, so that'd be nothing to him. That'd be fine for him. But some of our others coming in, would it be harder for them, say the Donovans or Konak or Milambo, so forth? Will they find it harder? Could there be maybe a few goals here? I'm thinking something like a 2-2, maybe going to it. Will it actually go to penalties, wouldn't it? It won't go to extra time.
Yeah, it won't go to extra time. I think it's straight to penalties. And I actually think that, if you end up playing Valdemarson instead of Kelleher, you've still got a fairly strong goalkeeper. Their reserve goalkeeper is Will Dennis. I think he might play unless Poulsen is given a start. Neither of them are really a patch on Petrovic. So I'm actually confident enough to predict that Brentford rather, should win this on penalties.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, I was going to say what your prediction score would be, and you obviously told me. I think it's possible it could be a 2-2, but then again, it could be tighter. Could be a 2-1, 1-1, something like that. I don't know what exactly to say, because I think, it depends what both teams will do. I mean, they both could be exciting teams, we know, going forward at times. So, yeah, it's a tricky one to predict, really, isn't it? Because, it's going to be changed. The team's going to be a bit different. Both teams, I think we're obviously bringing other players in. We'll still keep some of the core ones. I think we still have likes Collins and things like that, Henry and all that, Hickey and stuff. And we'll have, I don't know about Henderson, whether he'll play. I don't know. We'll probably have Jensen.
He could actually start, I think. I think he could start. I think, one of the provisos with him coming to Brentford was that he'd get some really good minutes under his belt to make sure that he would prepare for, England's games. Because I know you're not going to like this, Steve, but it is clear that, Tuchel values him quite highly.
Obviously.
And still sees him, as a valuable part of the squad. Even if he doesn't get to play very much, he will obviously, have a big role to play as a super sub. And also in our last World Cup, he went on to become the starting defensive midfielder ahead of Calvin Phillips, who had, started brilliantly in Euro 2020, but then faded away because of a lack of first-team opportunities at Manchester City. So if Henderson does play, I think he will look to control the midfield a great deal. And he's proven in some ways that there is still some life in him. But I will say, that he doesn't have very long in the game. Neither does Kyle Walker. I think this last World Cup campaign will be their final involvements with England. And I don't think we'll see them playing in the Premiership again after this season. But, back to the game, I think Henderson will probably be given the start. It wouldn't surprise me if Nathan Collins was rested and Henderson was given the captaincy. It probably wouldn't leave a good taste in your mouth, and I completely understand. But maybe that's what Andrews would like to do. And this could very well be what, starts the process of him endearing himself to the Bees faithful, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I gave him credit the other day, Manny. I actually gave him an 8 in the player ratings, Henderson. So I do give players credit when they deserve it and play well. I will give them credit, and I will be big enough to say I think he was great and done well. And
top man, I like that. I like that. That's very. That's brilliant of you. Well done.
You got to, whatever you feel about a player, you'd still say, well, they were immense, they were great, they done well. But then again, if he fails next time and does shit, I'll say about it. I will go into it. But I've come to this article here, and it's obviously saying about the teams' predictions and lineups and so forth. Well, they obviously got Doak and everything here for Bournemouth. They predicted, of course. Dennis, as you said, Smith, Diakate, Senesi, Truffer, Christie, Scott, Doak, Tavernier, Semenyo, and Evan Nielsen. Still a good team, that, isn't it? That's a very good team.
Well, it's a very surprising team here because obviously, he's gone for the same back four that started in both the Premiership games. Obviously, he's replaced the goalkeeper. Evan Nielsen will play. Semenyo will play. Doak will be given his debut. Alex Scott also comes in. I think he played. Christie has also been used as a sub. Tavernier is also a big part of it. So I think that just goes to show how serious Bournemouth are about trying to have a cup run, really. And this does look a very strong team, aside from the goalkeeper, one or two others.
Yeah, and it's still saying about Ethan Pinnock out for us, so looks like he won't be playing at all. Vitaly out, of course, as well, still out, and Nunez. Ouattara could start. Kevin Shardy on the other flank, and Igor Thiago also up front. So that'd be a strong front three there, or lineup for us, wouldn't it, Manny? To be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Valdemarson, as we say, and go Hickey, Collins, Vandenberg. So probably will play them. It's going to be a fairly strong lineup. Lewis Potter, Onyeka, Henderson, Ouattara, Damsgaard, Shardy, and Thiago. So if he does play that, that's still a good lineup. That's a tough, strong lineup there, really.
Absolutely. And this is just another reminder, as I said, about how seriously both teams are taking the League Cup, and that's the way it should be. So, should be a good one. A hoot and a half, as I always say.
I mean, I'll be doing obviously a reaction to it, and we'll see. But obviously that'd be probably Wednesday, I guess. There's some matches tomorrow, so probably Wednesday the reaction. But I think, as I'm saying, I'm going to go for a 2-2, maybe go to penalties. What are you going to say, Manny?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. 2-2, definitely going to penalties, and the Bees to come out on top.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, I thought you would have gone for Bournemouth, to be honest, but it don't matter. I could easily say Bournemouth, but, I'm not going to be totally biased here, because I think they're still a good team. I still rate them. I still have a bit of respect for them. And despite what has been said, but I've sort of still got respect for them. And I think it's going to be a really tough game. There ain't no pushovers, as we know. So, we'll wait and see. But I want to just say this last bit of this transfer information here. And this is the goalie we're after, Manny, from Derby County. 3.5 million, Jacob Zetterström.
Ooh, I think I've heard of him. He's actually a Swedish international who's, I think when, the now former Aston Villa reserve goalkeeper Robin Olsen was injured, he would be featured on the bench. And, goalkeeping hasn't necessarily been a very strong point for Derby County over the years. But there is some promise in him. And, it could very well prove to be an asset. The only issue is obviously with Kelleher and Valdemarson, he probably will only be used as squad cover. But having said that, he could also see some action in the FA Cup against, let's say, for example, if you draw one of the more nondescript non-league teams, as it were, the likes of Accrington Stanley. He might end up playing, maybe. So I guess it wouldn't be a bad buy under the circumstances. The only issue is, would he actually relish the prospect of, being a backup Premiership goalkeeper when I do believe he is actually playing regularly for Derby. Let me just take a look and see.
He is, yeah. He's their number one, Manny. Their number one.
Yes, Jacob Zetterström has actually played 3 matches. And, So I'm not too sure that Derby would want to part with him that easily, to be honest.
Yeah, but it'd be a step up for him, though, wouldn't it? Coming up to the Prem, coming to Brentford. So maybe he'd want to do it. Maybe he'd be happy to come.
Yeah, but again, you only need to take a look at certain players who were brought to the Premiership with promises of, first team football, only to end up, struggling. You just need to know that all that glitters isn't gold, you see.
Yeah, true. Says they got 2 other goalies, though, Derby, on their books. Richard O'Donnell signed for them on a free transfer from Blackpool in the summer. Highly experienced for over 400 league appearances, but at 36 years of age, can hardly be considered a long-term solution. Well, Josh Vickers has been with them since 2023 as cover. Only run up 13 league appearances in that time. So I guess really they don't want to lose this guy, as you say, really. But you know, will the temptation be too much? Will he want to come? Will he decide he wants to move and play in the Premier? You know.
Yeah, that's a tough question, and it could very well be that is the way things pan out. But we'll take a look and see. I mean, you know, as you've said, they do have some good options. You know, this chap O'Donnell that you've mentioned is not necessarily a long-term solution. But having said all of that, you know, John Maynard Keynes once brilliantly said, in the long run, dear friends, we will all be dead. So I wouldn't complain about necessarily having to, you know, have a veteran like him filling in if I need to. And I mean, I wouldn't exactly put him in the Andy Lonergan class of, you know, journeyman goalkeepers, so to speak. But yeah, we'll see. This might be interesting. And how old is Mr. Zetterstrom? 27. So
yeah.
He is 27. So I wouldn't necessarily say he's long in the tooth, but you know, at his age, it probably would be a little bit more like Freddie Woodman being signed by Liverpool, except Zetterstrom is Swedish, and of course Woodman is English, as we all know. It is going to be a little bit interesting to see how that that pans out. Do please excuse me, I've got a phone call.
Yeah, no worries, mate. It's fine. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. But yeah, I think this should be interesting. If we do go for him, we'll see. And if he wants to join, I mean, as I say, they might not want to lose him, Derby, and it might go up that price. They might extend it. So I still don't know why we're looking for another keeper. But anyway, I mean, if that's what's happening, we'll wait and see. I mean, obviously, we still want a replacement if Issa goes. So I'm not so sure he's the one we should be looking at, the goalie at the moment. But still, we'll see what happens there. They might put a price in, a move in, a bid in for him. You never know. So wait and see what happens. Yep. But anyway, Manny, I'm going to move on. So what I want to go before we go. What's your prediction for the match tonight, Liverpool and Newcastle, the big one? What do you think?
There can only be one prediction, Steve. I think, you know, Liverpool obviously look exceptional in the attack, and I really don't see Alexander Isak being brought back into the picture as quickly as Howe says he will, because you know, you can't just behave the way you're behaving and, you know, turn it into a real public issue. And I really do hope that if there is a resolution between the player and the club and everything calms down, then it's good for the player and good for the club, because, you know, Isak will have to look at it and say that he's, you know, damaged his reputation, and he is going to have to, you know, eventually suffer for that if it goes on like this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think Isak's burnt his bridges, I'm afraid. And that's the way it is. And same with Issa. And there's no coming back, is there, really, when you've done all that? You said all those things, you know. No, they're not going to respect you, no matter what you do. I mean, you could come back and score a few goals, but it's still not really going to mend anything. It's not going to change anything. And
yeah.
With Issa, so...
It reminds me in many ways of the cricketing episode that England had with Kevin Peterson. Obviously, the Textgate scandal, you'll remember that. You know, personally, I think, you know, it was that Textgate scandal really shouldn't have happened. It was a mountain out of a molehill. He didn't betray Andrew Strauss. He just said he was acting like a bit of an idiot, and that's really what he said. He didn't say anything worse than that. And, he was being, in many ways, ill-treated with the whole Twitter account business, that fake Twitter account. And he wasn't really being given any kind of backing. And even Andrew Strauss admitted in his autobiography, he never really gave Kevin Peterson the support that he deserved. And so for him to, just blithely, try and have this "it is what it is" attitude was just horrible. But then KP was forced into a reintegration process. He literally had to grovel, and things paid off wonderfully at first with that beautiful century he scored at the Wankerhead Stadium, that wonderful innings of 186, which changed the course of that series and helped us beat India in India for the first time in Lord knows how many years. But then there were some people who were saying, just give it some time, something will happen. And then, of course, after the Ashes tour, that tour from hell, it was pretty much the end of him. So you might have a point. Once, if things happen like this, and they don't really provide much of it doesn't. The good times don't last. Then eventually things have to come to an end. But I'm always going to be one of those people who will say that as much as Kevin Peterson might have been an idiot, he certainly was no villain. And there's a lot to the Isak saga that neither you nor I know. So all we can say is that we both sides have behaved badly, if they have. And hopefully, and both sides have a responsibility to come to a resolution for the good of both parties. And if it means that Isak ends up going, having burnt his bridges, then, so be it.
Yeah, exactly. But, tonight, you could see Newcastle were missing a proper striker the other day. They couldn't score, couldn't do anything against Villa, 10 men. Still couldn't score. So I think it's going to be a real tough one for them tonight. I'm going 3-1 Liverpool, because I just think they might just get one, because I don't think Liverpool's defence is that great either. It is pretty poor, what I saw the other day against Bournemouth and all that. But I just think Liverpool got loads more going forward, as we know, this Verts, and they got what's the other guy that won Ekitike as well, him, and they've got countless others, really. Salah, what haven't they got going forward? So they're going to be too much for Newcastle, I think. Definitely at least a 3-1 tonight. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I probably would concur. I don't think there are going to be too many more goals for Liverpool, because one big absentee will be Alexis McAllister. I think his partner is giving birth to a baby, so he's been given permission to miss the trip to St. James's Park. So it could very well be that, as against Bournemouth, they start with Dominic Szoboszlai as part of the defensive midfield pivot alongside Gravenberch. And then, of course, they've got Curtis Jones and Taro Endo on the bench. They've got a really good squad. And, of course, they've said goodbye to Darwin Núñez, but now they've got Federico Chiesa. He could very well end up becoming another David Fairclough, and Liverpool fans will obviously remember him, a much beloved figure from back in the day. Yeah,
Ginger Nut, yeah. Remember that. He came on and kept scoring, didn't he? Super sub, yeah.
Of course. And there was one European Cup quarter-final against Saint Etienne, I believe. Back in the days, the away goals rule counted. Those were the days, my friend. And sadly, they've come to an end.
Sadly, yeah.
So I think Liverpool actually were leading Saint Etienne 2-1, but the tie was tied on aggregate because, obviously Saint Etienne equalised when Liverpool went ahead, and then I think it was Alan Kennedy, who scored the go-ahead goal, but Liverpool still needed another goal. But with 15 minutes to go, David Fairclough came on. With 7 minutes to go, he scored what proved to be the game winner and sent Liverpool through, and then the rest is history. They beat Zurich in the semis and beat Mönchengladbach in the final, but had it not been for David Fairclough, they probably wouldn't have gone that far. So Chiesa could really have a role to play for Slot this season after not doing very much last season, and that's what you want to see. You want to see certain players who, are sort of bled in, who may not adapt at first, but who come into their own a little bit later. That's what you'd love to see. And with an Aston Villa connection, Unai Emery, you need to start playing Daniel Marlon a lot more. He's a lot more talented than he deserves a lot more than the minutes you're giving him. Play him in a few games. You'll see the best of him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But anyway, man, it's been a great stream. It went on a bit longer than I thought it was going to. I thought it was only going to be an hour, but it went on slightly longer. But it's good. We've had a few in the live chat. We've had, obviously, a few Bournemouth fans as well. So good to have them in here. David Hutchinson, of course, Ethan Burney and Liam Humby, 2 Bournemouth fans. I don't know them, really, don't know if you know them, but they were in here. Jordan Hyman, of course, Liverpool fan. And
obviously, working with my friends from UTC IAD, I think Mr. Humby has been in the chat on several occasions. And, very good to see him. And I hope he enjoys the game as much as you do.
Yeah. Whatever's gone on, I still wish him luck. I still respect him. So, I don't know, I will still be fair and big enough to go and stay up and say that. So, whatever happens, but if they beat us and knock us out or whatever happens this season, I'll put my hands up and say I was wrong and whatever. So, anyway, but yeah. Anyway, Manny, where can we find you, buddy?
Well, first of all, Steve, big up to you. Thanks a lot for having me. And it was wonderful to talk about Bournemouth for quite a bit of time. And I hope I was able to prepare as much as I did to come armoured for this little stream. I hope I was able to do it justice. And
definitely.
I'm certainly good to see some League Cup action this week. And, of course, Newcastle against Liverpool tonight. That should be a cracker of a game. Newcastle versus Liverpool is always, a really, really, feisty sort of affair, mouth-watering, so to speak. And you can catch me here on The Buzz and also on Mr. B's other channel where he chats England cricket. And we should be doing some work very soon with the Women's World Cup around the corner. Looking forward to that, definitely. You can also catch me on Oris Talks Football, and I should be doing a stream tonight with Up the Cherries in all departments later on tonight. It'll probably be, recorded and then showed the next day. I'm not too sure. That's sort of how they roll. And there will be some other channels where I've been involved in the past, and I'll be hoping to sort of get involved with them again soon. And I will keep everyone posted. But as I said, always good to be here with Steve and talking about everything, shooting the breeze, the bees, the buzz, what have you. And I'm actually looking forward to finding out how things turn out. And of course, if you're a tennis fan, the US Open has just started. Will Novak Djokovic get his 25th Grand Slam title? We will have to find out. Or will it be another semi-final defeat for him? We're going to have to see. Nothing much else to say except thanks a lot to everyone in the chat, and I hope you enjoy watching the stream on playback if you weren't in the chat. And as always, come on, you bees, and up the cherries. I can't, pick sides, as it were, although I gave my predictions. And I hope you will enjoy the sporting action that's taking place around this time. It's always a wonderful time for sport, August and September. But until then, until we meet again, as always, take care of yourselves, be safe, be happy, do unto others as you'd have others do unto you, and don't do anything that Mr. B or I wouldn't do. Until then, goodbye, God bless, adieu, and see you all soon. Bye.
Cheers, Manny. Take care, buddy. Brilliant. Thanks for coming on once again. Brilliant. Thanks to him. And as he says, you will find him on a lot of other things, a lot of other streams. Obviously, doing the Up the Cherries in all departments tonight with them lads. So, and once again, I know, despite what they've said about us, it's I still give them a lot of respect. Them guys, they still, do a good show, good content and stuff. So go and check them out. I mean, if it was the other way around, we said about Bournemouth going down, and things like that. But as it was, I wasn't going to say that because I always thought Bournemouth was still good enough, and I know they wouldn't really be in trouble, really. But, obviously we want to beat them tomorrow. I'm hoping we can. It's not going to be easy. As I said, it could be a 2-2 on penalties. It could equally be very tight. It could be a 1-1 or 2-1 or whatever. 1-0 even or something, but hopefully we can sneak through and have a good cup run, really. Follow me on Insta at Mr. B for Life 182 and subscribe to Mr. B Hive Football Chat, Mr. B Chats England Cricket. Plenty to come, any more content. Obviously got the transfer stream still coming. They'll be still coming nearly every day, I guess. See what's going on. If we're going to lose any more, hope not. Want to buy some more in, get more players in. We're gonna wait and see, guys. The transfer window shuts on the 1st of September, so a lot could happen between now and then. But anyway, thanks for everyone who's been watching live or on playback. Everyone in the live chat, please keep subbing, supporting me, smashing the likes, following me on here. Much appreciated, guys. All the love and support. Up to 172 now on the subs, so get that up to 200. That'd be superb, guys, please. But for the time being, I'm going to bounce and hopefully a win tomorrow. I'll be on another stream as well tomorrow, on Oris stream as well. That'll be about 8 o'clock. A review, obviously, for the Premier, all the games that we've had over the last few days. So there'll be a review tomorrow on there on OTF, Oris Talks Football. So please check that out at that channel at 8 o'clock. I'll be doing my own streams tomorrow. Well, as I say, transfer one, maybe reaction if I feel like doing one after the game. A quick one, maybe. We'll see. But if not, that'll be Wednesday. There'll be a buzz stream at some stage this week as well, and the preview for the Sunderland game. So, thanks everyone, and for the time being, I'm out of here. I'm bouncing. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone. Come on, the bees. Come on. Yes, come on.